SAUTI on Africa headline: Trump's offensive remarks, a reflection of ignorance. Trump's remarks, where he referred to Haiti and African nations as shithole countries, reflect not only a deep-seated prejudice, but also a shockingly narrow worldview. It's almost laughable to think that a person in such a high position of global leadership could make such a crass and offensive statement, showing a complete disregard for the complexities and dignity of the people in these nations. This kind of comment exposes not just a lack of sensitivity, but a clear absence of intellectual depth and emotional maturity. How can someone so disconnected from history, culture, and humanity lead a country, let alone offer meaningful contributions on the global stage? By reducing entire nations to a derogatory phrase, Trump displayed an appalling ignorance of the struggles and contributions of these societies. His failure to recognize the profound history of resistance and independence that characterizes places like Haiti and numerous African countries is not just ignorant, it's irresponsible. The nations he so carelessly dismissed have histories marked by colonization, brutal exploitation, and yet extraordinary resilience. In fact, Haiti was the first nation to successfully overthrow slavery, and many African countries fought tooth and nail for their independence against European colonizers. How many leaders truly understand this? It seems at least Trump does not. As one critic noted, Trump is the textbook example of someone who confuses wealth with greatness and poverty with insignificance. This remark, if anything, says more about Trump's own limitations than it does about the countries he insulted. For someone like him, who measures success solely by financial or material standards, the humanity, culture, and strength that lie within these nations' borders are invisible. Trump's dismissive language ignores the rich histories, the ongoing development, and the aspirations of millions of people. It's a statement of pure arrogance and ignorance. Should we really be surprised, though? This is the same man who labeled Mexicans as rapists and attempted to vilify Muslims as potential terrorists. His rhetoric follows a clear pattern of veiled and at times overt racism. Time and again, Trump has shown an inability, or perhaps an unwillingness, to understand cultures outside of his own. Whether it's his disastrous policies on immigration or his endless insults to foreign countries, Trump operates within a bubble where everything is either black or white, good or bad, rich or poor. This simplistic worldview not only dehumanizes others, but also cheapens the complexities of global politics and relationships. The idea that Trump can't see the humanity in nations like Haiti or African countries speaks volumes about his own shallow understanding of the world. His failure to grasp the importance of these countries in global history and current geopolitics further highlights his incapacity to lead on the world stage. Africa, for example, is home to some of the fastest-growing economies today. Countries like Ethiopia, Ghana, and Rwanda are making tremendous strides in economic growth, technological innovation, and governance reforms. Haiti, despite its challenges, has a proud history of standing against oppression and continues to be a symbol of resistance and hope. Trump's remarks dismiss all of this, reducing complex nations to nothing more than slurs. A well-known proverb states, "He who lives by the sword dies by the sword." In this case, Trump's reckless words quickly drew global backlash. The United Nations itself condemned his remarks as shocking and shameful. Such language doesn't just disrespect these nations, it trivializes the struggles of millions who face hardships tied to legacies of colonialism, foreign exploitation, and unjust global dynamics. Dynamics that leaders like Trump conveniently ignore when they make such simplistic, offensive remarks. His words echo the sentiments of a long history of imperialism, where Western nations saw themselves as superior to the rest of the world and used this belief to justify exploitation and colonization. By using such rhetoric, Trump isn't just insulting a few countries, He's reinforcing centuries-old prejudices that continue to harm global relations today. Perhaps Trump's biggest mistake is assuming that his words have no consequences. His attempt to dehumanize entire nations highlights a profound character flaw and a glaring lack of diplomacy. Can we really take a leader seriously who behaves this way? Rather than raising the level of global dialogue, Trump seems committed to dragging it through the mud with his insensitive, reductive statements. His presidency has been a constant stream of these kinds of inflammatory remarks, statements that polarize, insult, and alienate rather than bring people together. In the end, the real shithole may not be the countries he named, but the moral and mental space from which such a statement originated. Such a limited, prejudiced, and uninformed perspective could only come from someone who holds deep disdain for those outside his elitist bubble. It's difficult to expect more from someone who believes wealth is the sole measure of worth and forgets that dignity, character, and humanity are infinitely more valuable than any bank account balance. His remarks reveal an astounding level of ignorance about global poverty, inequality, and the interconnectedness of nations. It's not just that his statement was offensive, it was also embarrassingly simplistic, reducing the complex issue of global development to a crass insult. Moreover, it begs the question, what has Trump done to address global poverty or assist nations facing hardship? His administration's foreign policies largely neglected aid and support to struggling countries, focusing instead on isolationism and nationalist rhetoric. The truth is that insulting nations is much easier than engaging in meaningful foreign policy discussions that could actually help solve the issues facing them. Trump's presidency will likely be remembered not for solving global problems, but for exacerbating tensions and alienating allies. In conclusion, Trump's comment is a glaring reflection of his lack of character, diplomacy, and understanding of the world. His words have not only insulted entire nations, but they've also cast a shadow over America's image on the global stage. How can anyone take him seriously when his leadership is marked by such ignorance and insensitivity? The real tragedy here is that, as a world leader, Trump had the power to elevate discussions, to bring nations together, and to foster understanding. Instead, he chose division, arrogance, and insults. History will not look kindly on this type of leadership.